KWR, where we tell our stories together. My guest today is Chef Daniel Wainaina, who is a good friend of mine, and we have interviewed a couple of times. Today, we are going to speak on a topic that is a concern to many on immigration, and more so, some of the good things that people experience when they come to the United States and the challenges therein. And we are hoping to tap into his wisdom. Chef Wainaina, as you can tell by his name, is a great cook. He's a great chef. But today we will be specifically speaking about his observation and his wisdom on issues on immigration. Karibu sana Chef Wainaina.
Asante sana, Reverend Kireko. You are such a good friend, and I'm happy to be here today to be a part of this program that you're undertaking. So thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you once again for having you in our midst today. And we will begin by asking you to tell us about yourself and when you came to the United States.
Well, my name, as you have heard, my name's Daniel Wainaina. Actually, my full names are Daniel Mbugwa. That's what, the middle name is US, is not usually used. So apart from the people who know me from back Kenya, everybody else knows me as Chef Wainaina. That's still my name, but Wainaina is my daddy. I came to this country over 20 years ago, and I've been so grateful and happy to be here. It's not easy. It's been a very, very, very challenging journey, but I'm always thankful for every single day. So for all the people who are here, I know we all have our stories, our challenges, our successes, and sometimes our not very good parts of this journey.
Well, thank you so much for that short introduction. What inspired you to come to the United States?
What inspired me to come to the U.S. Is definitely, to better myself. Everybody looks at this as a country where you can make your dreams come true. So that I was inspired, just as anybody else, just to be a part of that journey, to come here and get inspired and see the dreams. And it's been quite a journey.
Well, I know that you have lived most of your time in Boston. Is there a particular reason that you chose to settle in Boston and then California, if you may?
Sure. Most of the people, when we come to this country, we tend to go where our people are, or where you think you'll be probably, be able to survive or make it. Boston, I had a lot of family, relatives, so they hosted me when I just came, and I set a base there, and I've been living in Boston for almost 18 years or so, 20 years, and now until I recently moved to California.
Now, when you think about that journey, that now it's more than 18 years, could you talk to us about what is most important to you in that regard of the journey that you have come since you got here into the United States?
I think it's very interesting because when most people come here, you come with a very good plan, what you want to do, or thinking what you are able to do. But when you hit the ground here, sometimes things are different, as we say. When I came here, I remember initially one of my cousins is in computer sector, and I really wanted to do things to do with computers. But as I came here, it was completely different. So I couldn't follow that line. And I actually found myself, a lot of time not very sure of, what I want to do. But then when I was back in Kenya, I used to run a bakery. I always had a passion for food. So just by staying around in the house, I started turning the TV on, and I discovered, Food Network. It was hot then. That re-inspired me back, and I got the fire to bring back my passion about food. And from there on, I just started studying, going to the libraries. Yeah, I ended up finding jobs in restaurants, and that's where my career in food just started to blossom.
Because that brings me to my other question. And because you did take up now chef, cooking, uh, feeding people, preparing meals as a profession and as a career, in that journey of you as a chef, have you worked with Kenyan immigrants in the USA in any part of that journey as a chef? And if so, could you talk a little bit about, you know, um, that and how you have interacted with Kenyan immigrants, particularly here in the US?
Well, in my career as a chef, it's very interesting because, and also almost not sure how to put it, but I've not been able to work with Kenyans in that industry. We are not many in that industry. It's an industry that is actually just now growing up and probably just getting appreciated in our wider community. So mostly I've worked with people from people of immigrants from other different countries. But to be honest, I've never worked with a Kenyan, especially in a restaurant, because there are not many of them in that sector. But it's also a sector that is very, very fast growing, and especially if one is able to move up the ladder, to the management level in the restaurant.
The fact that maybe you've not worked with them directly, or actually you have worked with them in their absence. And because they are not part of the process and you have missed them out in that professional line, and you have also added that Kenyans are beginning to appreciate what that means. It means that in the absence, and then you sensing that movement where they are truly appreciating, do you see yourself contributing to that movement where now Kenyan seems to be appreciating the type of work that you do as a chef?
I've always been a very good, a very good in the community, being part of what goes on in our community. I've done events for our people. I've done charity events, and I also like to share, especially with the young generation. One of the things that has happened in food industry in general is a trend of the TV. Food has been glorified. It's been lifted up from being, you know, uh, just that, in the kitchen. Just food is a commodity, and food becoming as a part of people's entertainment. That has lifted food in general, and Kenyans has become a very, 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 popular. They've liked, they enjoy that. The fact that especially in Boston area, I was blessed. I was working in some of the best restaurants around Boston. I worked in a restaurant called Top of the Hub for people who know it. I worked with a very big celebrity chef, Chef Ming Tsai. Um, so that alone was able to, has been able to, to bring people awareness to just another side of food that was not very popular or well known in our circles.
When you come to think of it, is there possibly a reason why before technology, before media, before YouTube and all that, could there be a reason why immigrants may not have necessarily been aware or even interested in chef as a profession or chefing, if that is an English word?
Actually, actually, to the contrary, one of the landing grounds for a lot of immigrants, I wouldn't categorize especially Kenyans on that, but most of the immigrants, their landing jobs in these countries always in the food sector, in the restaurant. So that is very popular with immigrants, from other countries. But as I've said, we might not know a lot of people who are looking to do that, but chefing and food in general is one of the fastest growing careers and sectors that people enjoy. Hey, who doesn't like food when you can make your own food and enjoy it?
Which also triggers something in me to think about, if many immigrants do tend to get into the United States and start working possibly through the food industry, are there some specific challenges that you can speak of, that many Kenyan immigrants that you know have faced when they get into this country? They are new, they are green, and how some of them are able, or how they navigate, those challenges?
I think a lot of us, when we come to this country, we have probably an advantage, or we are blessed because a lot of the people, they have their families, they have friends, so they get anchored probably quickly. And then, when it comes to the food sector, this is not a sector that has been, culturally, it wasn't a sector that was well, I don't want to say not well regarded, but it wasn't, it still is not a sector that, a lot of people that will think as a career path to what they want to do. But then again, things have really moved. For those who, if you put effort, it's become like almost any other career. It's been glorified, it's been elevated. Being a chef is almost like any other profession right now. And then it goes with that huge tag. Everybody appreciates good food. For Kenyans, it's still a sector that is growing, that people are yet to discover. And I'm hoping, especially the younger generation, those who are coming up, those who are passionate, they are creative, they have that in them. It's a career that they can follow, and it can take you to places.
There are some people who speak of immigrants as facing legal challenges when they are in the United States. And there is a lot of misconception behind that. And particularly with the food, there is almost a stigma with the food industry, particularly for Kenyans who are living away from, who are not in the in the diaspora, and and I've heard people complain or say things like, well, we know that when you get there, all you do is flipping burgers because of your legal status and all that. And it could be in itself, it could be a stigma for that is upon us people who live in the diaspora, which is not true, by the way. But do you see legal issues as any problem to immigrants living in the United States? And if there are some legal issues that some immigrants are facing, is it connected in any way with the food industry or flipping burgers and so forth?
I think that the term of flipping burger is sort of generalized, and people, probably looking at, the sector or the industry in a probably a narrow lens. But food sector is very, 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 very wide. There are so many different kinds of places, restaurants, doing all different kinds of cuisines. So it depends on where you are. And just like in any career, so once you get into it, I think you also have a responsibility to grow yourself and become, build your own name, grow yourself, educate yourself, learn the tricks. And also, the other thing about food, especially nowadays, it's almost like an art. So you have to have it in you. I always tell people, if you can go to a school of music, learn how to write, good music, but if you don't have the good voice, so that good music is not good enough. So it's the same thing with food. So if you don't have good taste, you don't appreciate style, good taste, and creativity. So food just becomes food. But food at where it is right now is being looked at a very high level, almost like a form of an art. When immigrants come here, it's an easy entry point for work and to make money. The chain restaurants, they need all is required there. It's mostly the labor. You're not required to do much. So probably that's where mostly the flipping burger comes in, because you're not being asked to create anything. But if you go up the ladder to the fine dining, that's where now you'll come into an area where you are expected to be creative, bake a menu, or create a dish that can inspire, or be appreciated by people. And then at the end of the day, you have to realize that you are working for a business that is looking to make money. So if you can create the menu, that will make money for a restaurant, you just definitely are valuable.
Absolutely. Thank you for navigating that issue, that it basically has no legal connection with people status and why they get into food industry or they do whatever they need. But it does offer that, good entry. But for possibly people without skills, but later, definitely, as you've said, if people want fine dining, now the question of professionalism gets in. um, I'm sure, as a chef and as a professional in that line, you have encountered other professionals. They may be Kenyan, they may be Americans. And do you know of any professional or as individuals who specifically work with immigrants, or the Kenyan community in the United States? And if so, what kind of role do they play in connecting with these immigrants?
I have good friends. I've met some very good friends in this country, mostly Kenyans, people who are contributing a lot in the community. I have a very good friend of mine. Her name is Jane Kemani. She's based in Boston area. She runs an organization called UHAI. Jane works with different communities, advising them on all different areas, including immigration. She deals with the issues that are current, and she does a very good job. I also have a lot of other people that I've worked with. I've worked with people from this country. We've done an organization that feeds mostly homeless. We've done events during major holidays. Actually, for a good part of my life in this country, I spend most of my holidays just contributing and doing charity work for the homeless around.
Food is definitely connected to culture, and we have different things that connect us as a community beyond food. How do immigrants, Kenyan immigrant living here in the United States, maintain their cultural identity while living far away from home. Could you give us a few examples of how Kenyans, beside food, expression through food, and that could be one in another. Just give us a few examples.
Well, you cannot separate a Kenyan from their ugali, their sukuma wiki, their githeri, their tilapia, and the list goes on. Add jamachoma in there, and you got, and you got a Kenyan, regardless of where they are, they make themselves feel at home. I think that is one of the best things about us. We are very, we are very cultural. We are very rich in terms of embracing our cultures. Kenya itself being a country of so many different cultures, but as a country, there are all those, especially food, that is so identifiable with us, regardless of which part of Kenya you come from. When you come here, all those things, when you go to a Kenyan party, it's all about Kenyan food. I always get people, calling me and asking me to make, food based on our cultures or on our Kenyan background. And it's always very embraced, and especially here in this country. So when people have visitors, and especially from other different cultures, our food is not very well out there, very well known. We need to do a job about that to bring it out, be on the same levels as either the Moroccan, the Ethiopians, all those very well known cuisines. Ours is still, we have work to do, and it's part of my mission to do that. But one of the things that brings us together here in this country is just definitely our food. And when we make food the way we used to make it in Kenya, or when we were growing up in our villages, we really have fun.
My late mother-in-law once visited us, and she made a profound statement one time. And she said that relationships and networking happens around food as people are eating and enjoying each other. And therefore, I can feel you, I feel you, and I know without a doubt that there are many, many Kenyan immigrants who are finding spaces of connection, of meeting with friends, of, trying to fight away some of the things that may happen to them as immigrants through food and through coming together. And therefore, and particularly, being invited into gathering. And as when you're preparing meals, giving people food, do you get invited to Kenyan, by communities that are gathered at spaces? And how does that play into the cultural identity?
I think most of the time, the way we meet here is through, different kinds of events, especially things like, in our own community, things like graduations, when you have parties for different things, where, be it weddings, birthdays, any kind of event. When you get invited, or when you go to those events, Kenyan food is in plenty. I happened to fly out, last week to go to Washington State. One of my nephew was graduating, and I was invited there as a guest. But before I landed there, I got a message that, my cousin who had invited me, he was overruled, and people have declared that they have to taste Chef Wainaina's food. So when I went there, I was no longer a visitor, but I had to get into the kitchen and cook for people, because they really want to appreciate the food. What I'm doing with Kenyan food is just to try to bring it up a notch, so that it can be, at a par with any other cuisine. So those people who have heard me, I'm on YouTube. So, when I share my content there, and people see my style of cooking, they want to taste that food. So when they hear that I'm coming to a gathering, they always want to see that food, and I'm very grateful for that.
I have had some very good friends who have taken me out to eating places that are good, even in Kenya. But I never appreciated what fine dining is. It never occurred to me that there is an art, that there is a process behind it until I met you, Chef Wainaina. And definitely you have taught me to appreciate food, to appreciate tastes, and to enjoy even, the setting up of these things. So that, I believe, is a great way of helping us continue to love food, get moving ourselves beyond the ugali, beyond the nyamashoma, beyond the mukimo, which are still good, but also, getting to that place where we can truly enjoy fine dining around our many, many occasions. Now, when you think about it, as we are coming to the end of this interaction, do you know of Kenyan organizations that work with American government or American agencies that work towards supporting the kind of work that you do, or any other immigrant who wishes to step out and do things for the community and even for themselves?
I think there are so many different organizations. For me, when it comes to the food industry, I think as a Kenyan, or on the Kenyan mindset, is still a young industry. So probably there's not a lot of interaction with that. But what I do is connect myself, with the larger groups that do, all different kinds of things that are geared towards, either helping the community, or educating the community in one way or the other. I just offer myself, for charity, just to be able to cause that to succeed. Like now, when it becomes the issue of the youth, the Kenyan youth and all that. So I like to be a part of that, the groups that are connected. But also, this is an industry that is, fast growing, and we don't want to definitely be left behind. My way of doing the way I look at our food is, one of my favorite dishes actually happens to be ugali. I can't stay a couple of, I always tell people I don't eat ugali every day, but when I really want to eat ugali, I have to eat it. So that's one of my favorite. But what I'm doing with our food, and what a lot of upcoming chefs are doing, is to reinterpret the dishes, relook at them, redo them in a slightly more modern way. Add a few things here and there. Like I'm in US, so maybe probably some of the ingredients that are that I might need for a particular dish are not available here. So I have to be smart. Look around. What can work? What can I add based on my environment and create the same dish, or even reinterpret and relook it again. So our dishes are classics. So if you can look at it as ugali is a classic, githeri is a classic, beans, corn or maize, that combination is a classic, and it's lifelong. But when you look at it, you can find of so many other ways that you can add onto those, two very good ingredients, and you make a very great dish that can go across cultures. An American will enjoy it. Any person that you serve it to will enjoy it. By the way, those are universal, ingredients. When you come here, especially in US, corn is very popular with the Mexican cuisine. It's very popular with American cuisine. Beans as well. So it's not something that is very unique Kenyan. It's just the way we make it. So if you combine those two cultures and fuse them, hence what is called fusion food, you come up with a dish that is, neither, the 100% Kenyan, and it reflects where you are and the place that you are at. So, it's my desire, and it's my goal to see us, embracing, what is available to us. I'm not saying that we should not be bringing stuff from Kenya to come and cook here, but there is so much here that you can utilize and recreate a dish in your own way and unique way. and at some point, our cuisine will be out there challenging the rest.
Asante sana. My question was actually going to be, how do you envision people capturing that? How do they improve on the cuisine? And you have, wrap it up so well and so aptly in terms of what can be done with what we have and what we love. And I hope that if there are any Kenyan out there listening in and would wish to get into the food industry, they have a thought and an idea of how they can begin to think outside of the box and make Kenyan cuisine get to the par as any other food or food industry out there. Before I ask you the final question, there's this thought that I wanted to navigate a little bit. Is it difficult to get work in the United States for immigrants?
Well, I think that's a question that is probably a little bit generalized, because it definitely depends on what you're looking for. But if I may talk, based on my experience in the restaurant industry. So restaurant industry is very broad. There is the fast place joints. You have your McDonald's. You have the chain restaurant, the family, the neighborhood restaurants, and then you have some of the a little classier, the fine dining. And then you go to even other restaurants that you never get to hear about, but they exist somewhere there because they are probably, for a limited, access. But then you also have, Michelin-starred restaurants that are only very few in some of the major metropolitan or major cities. So this is an industry that, in order to grow, you have to be intentional. Put work in it. For the younger generation, every time I talk to them, I always advise, if you are very passionate about it, go to culinary school. So before then, our generation, I could work through learn at work and get to grow. But at present, I think it's more advisable. You go to a very good culinary school. There are several very good programs in this country, and they offer very good background about food, the cultures, how to cook all different kinds of food. And still, even if you're a good cook, you still have to be a good manager, because this is a business. This industry is a business. So if you get hired to work, so you have to know that you are being hired by a business that is looking to make a profit. So is it hard to get a job? I will say, if you have the right skills, you have the right mindset, and you are at the right place at the right time, opportunities, especially in this country, they are still there. But you have to prove yourself. You have to be, what are you putting on the table? Because at the management level, when I talk about this industry, the growth, mostly you are going to experience it at the management level. If you can grow yourself, to get into the level of management, once you get there and you are creative and you are a good manager, it's up to you. It's up to you to grow. Opportunities are there, especially in the restaurant sector. Is it competitive? Yes. Is it for everybody? I don't think so, because it's just like any other industry. It's getting better. It's been tough. This industry, especially the management level, the chef, to become a chef in this country, it used to be, mostly, the white men. But now, women are growing in the sector. A lot of immigrants, have become very good chefs in this country. I was actually looking at, the top 50 restaurants for this year. And I was surprised just to see how many of them have a very, very almost like immigrant background. And that is very, very, very inspiring.
Wow. That is awesome. And if you are to advise anybody who is in Kenya or anybody listening to you and is would want to come to the United States, what advice would you give them as they are considering making their way to the United States?
Well, again, I will just go back and pitch my case on if you are looking to come to the to do the food sector. It's very challenging. One of the biggest challenge for a lot of people, unless you are coming from a very well-known background of either hotel or restaurant, whether in Kenya or any other place, a lot of restaurants here, they are not going to take you at the level probably you are coming at. So you'll probably have to start probably a step, maybe a step down. And this is not a case for all people, but in general, that tends to be the case because even when you are done with school here, when you get to the restaurant industry, it operates in a slightly different environment because at the end of the day, as I said before, this is a business. And the owners of this business have invested a lot of money, actually millions of dollars, to open their restaurants. So at the end of the day or the month or the year, they are looking for a profit. So it's not a place where you are coming to experiment. So these have long established businesses or establishments that are already make money. So, and the owners are looking to continue that trend. So when you come there, you probably have to start it at some level, and then you can work yourself up. If you are good, if you are creative, you are good, you have very good background, and and certainly you can manage or run a place with time. Definitely, you are going to find your foot in there. It's challenging, but it's very beneficial. And I can tell you, if you get to a good with a good establishment, one of the challenges, one of the key things, and probably also another misconception is, in our community, when people look at restaurants, they look restaurants up to probably the chain restaurants. And I have nothing against the chain restaurants. Actually, they are getting better and better. The pay also at the management level is fair, but there are other restaurants there that you don't get to see because they don't advertise. You're not going to see them out there, but they do very well, and they look for very skilled people, and they are also a very good ground for you to learn. So if you are coming to this country, get connected with the right, know what you're looking for, know what concept, what are you good at, what have you done before, and then also, re-educate yourself, make sure that what you have back home is also applicable here, just like in any other profession.
Well, that is a very good way of wrapping it up, and more so for the wisdom that we can all tap into from a man who's been here for a very long time, gotten to the place where he feels very fine, and he just not feel fine. He is a fine chef. And I'm telling you, I have sampled his meals and I know what I'm talking about. Never experienced the kind of, cuisine that I have seen that has come through his hands. So once again, Chef, I do appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and I know you have other things that you do for yourself and for your living, and even finding the time to be here and to interview with me in helping us navigate this whole thing about immigration and helping us understand that there are many different ways and facets of immigration that possibly we don't know. And when we get to experience people like you, people who are doing well in different sectors of the economy, we become better in understanding who we are and also our friends who are out in the diaspora. And thank you for allowing us to share that story and for giving yourself the moment to be here. And may the Lord bless you. Any parting word?
No, thank you so much. It was my pleasure just to be here, just to be able to share, because it's always important, what you have also, share it. Let other people, I know there are a lot of people. Food has become one of the fastest growing, careers that people are looking for. Not only careers, but also cooking. People to appreciate good food, to appreciate good cultures. So if you are looking to do to be in food industry, it's a very broad sector. Do some research. If you ever need to ask any question, reach out to me. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. On YouTube I share simple home cooked dishes that are mostly geared towards the home cooks, and a lot of people appreciate that, and I'm so grateful.
And people can just type in Chef Wainaina, or do you have a handle that you would want to share?
On YouTube, it's at Chef Wainaina, or at Chef D Wainaina, or Daniel Wainaina. If you Google that, it's going to take you to my YouTube channel. I contribute not only Kenyan cuisine, I do African cuisine. I do cuisine that everybody appreciates. It's actually grown to be a very international page. I'm so surprised. I get people asking me, why I'm not sharing in Swahili or that. But when I look at the audience that is there, it's so international, and I do not want to alienate them. So visit. If you like it, just subscribe to the channel and follow just what I do. And thank you so much. It was my pleasure to be here.
There you have it. Thank you once again, Chef Wainaina, and may the Lord bless you. And looking forward to other times that I'll be able to speak with you, share with you, and celebrate the goodness of the Lord. For the moment, bye-bye.
Thank you.